You are under the heavy, paralyzing impression that you are completely stuck in your life, trapped within a stagnant career, wrestling with repeating financial loops, and watching the exact same disappointing realities manifest around you day after day. But let us tear down that illusion with absolute clarity. You are not stuck in your physical life. You are violently trapped in the precise version of reality that you continuously choose to observe, validate, and verify with your focused attention. Look closely at the devastating loop of your current spiritual routine. You sit down in perfect stillness, reciting modern manifestation affirmations and staring intently at beautifully designed vision boards, yet your physical nervous system is actively broadcasting a heavy, low-grade frequency of panic, scarcity, and deep-seated unworthiness. Your cells are completely saturated with the chemical memory of past failures. The quantum field is entirely deaf to your spoken or written words. It fundamentally does not care about your surface desires, your calculated rituals, or your desperate prayers. It responds with cold mathematical precision only to the hidden observer standing directly behind those words, the absolute state of your core identity. Most people spend their entire lives trying to force a major timeline shift while continuously broadcasting the static, looping radio signal of their historical limitations. They demand a completely new external life, but they steadfastly refuse to step out of the energetic clothes of the person who created the chaos in the first place. This is a severe, raw, subatomic intervention engineered to permanently shatter your historical conditioning, reprogram your biological response, and force your entire state of being to match the exact code of your highest timeline.
The vast quantum field does not operate on basic human hope, and it remains entirely indifferent to your intellectual concepts of wealth, love, or spiritual transformation. It functions strictly as a perfect, unblinking mirror that accurately reflects your baseline vibrational signature back into your physical environment. When you look at your current life, notice the bills that pile up or feel the heavy isolation in your room, and you react with instant frustration, deep anxiety, or subtle sense of lack, you are not merely observing your present conditions, you are actively validating them, casting a definitive vibrational vote to keep that exact version of reality alive on an infinite loop. This is the profound operational error that keeps millions of well-intentioned seekers entirely paralyzed on their path. They try to leap into an expanded timeline of abundance while their physical bodies are still heavily anchored in the chemical memory of past traumas and financial panic. You cannot experience a higher reality while your energetic signal is completely tethered to the very limitations you are desperately trying to escape. Your daily life feels consistent not because it is set in stone, but because you keep placing the needle of your attention into the exact same groove of the record player day after day. Every time you check your environment for physical proof of your manifestations and sigh in disappointment, you are telling the intelligent field that you still do not have it, forcing the field to instantly obey and collapse a matching probability wave of lack right back into your experience. When people hear the phrase quantum jumping, the human mind immediately drifts toward the spectacular high-budget imagery of science fiction. Flashing neon portals tearing through the fabric of space-time, blinding sheets of white light, or sudden physical teleportation into an alternate universe. But the true quantum portal is far more quiet, immediate, and terrifyingly real. The portal is your own identity. According to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, time is not a rigid linear countdown leading from yesterday into tomorrow. It is a vast, multi-dimensional web of coexisting probabilities. Every single version of your life, the version where you stepped into exceptional financial abundance, the version where you are deeply cherished, and the version where you remained completely stuck, is playing out right now in the energetic space of the present moment. You do not need to physically build or travel to your highest timeline because you do not create the radio station. You simply tune the dial of your internal state until your biology matches its specific broadcast frequency. The The jump itself occurs the exact microsecond your internal state undergoes a permanent transformation. The moment you completely cease thinking, feeling, and reacting like the version of you who was confused, unappreciated, or chasing validation, and instantly begin breathing and deciding like the one who has already arrived. When people hear the phrase quantum jumping, the human mind immediately drifts toward the spectacular, high-budget imagery of science fiction, flashing neon portals tearing through the fabric of space-time, blinding sheets of white light, or sudden physical teleportation into an alternate universe. But the true quantum portal is far more quiet, immediate, and terrifyingly real. The portal is your own identity. According to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, time is not a rigid linear countdown leading from yesterday into tomorrow. It is a vast multi-dimensional web of coexisting probabilities. Every single version of your life, the version where you stepped into exceptional financial abundance, the version where you are deeply cherished, and the version where you remained completely stuck, is playing out right now in the energetic space of the present moment. You do not need to physically build or travel to your highest timeline because you do not create the radio station. You simply tune the dial of your internal state until your biology matches its specific broadcast frequency. The jump itself occurs the exact microsecond your internal state undergoes a permanent transformation. The moment you completely cease thinking, feeling, and reacting like the version of you who was confused, unappreciated, or chasing validation, and instantly begin breathing and deciding like the one who has already arrived. The modern matrix has systematically trained your brain to worship linear time as an absolute dictator, forcing you to believe that you must endure months, years, or decades of grueling physical struggle before your outer reality is allowed to shift. This is a severe cosmological distortion designed to keep your consciousness anchored in a state of perpetual delay. In the quantum field, time is completely non-linear. It is an elastic, fluid ocean where all potential timelines are entirely loyal to the person you choose to be in the absolute now. Your thoughts act as energetic codes, your emotions broadcast magnetic signatures, and your current state of being is actively selecting which version of reality solidifies into physical form. Every single time you repeat an old limiting belief about your worth, react defensively from past emotional pain, or state that you are waiting for an external circumstance to change before you can feel at peace, you are reselecting the exact same timeline of limitation. The field does not keep you in a restricted life because you deserve to suffer. It keeps you there simply because your energy is highly familiar with that specific room of the prison. The moment you decide to break this alignment and consciously step onto a different track of the record player, the old closed doors are forced to open. Unexpected synchronicities rapidly accelerate, and entirely new people materialize in your environment. You have spent months, or perhaps years, meticulously aligning your chakras, visualizing your desires, and organizing your vision boards, yet you still find yourself waking up to face the exact same emotional cycles and repetitive frustrations. This occurs because you are desperately trying to change the narrative of the movie without changing the primary actor. You are attempting to manifest a magnificent, liberated reality while carrying the deep, heavy identity of a person who fundamentally does not believe they are safe, worthy, or whole. This is the profound spiritual trap that neutralizes the efforts of so many dedicated seekers. They are meditating, scripting, and praying from an underlying state of lack, trying to manifest abundance from the frantic energy of missing their goal. The quantum field cannot be tricked or manipulated by superficial rituals or positive masks. It ignores your intellectual desires and responds exclusively to your deep, subconscious emotional signature, the raw frequency of who you believe you are when your eyes are closed and no one is watching. If your baseline vibration is continuously broadcasting the energy of chasing, the intelligent universe will perfectly fulfill its role as a mirror, providing you with a reality that requires you to keep chasing forever. To permanently break this cycle, you must master the art of being before becoming.
To transition from a theoretical understanding of quantum jumping into a lived, irreversible biological activation, you must systematically execute the 5 precise phases of the Identity Activation Protocol. This is not a passive mental visualization. It is an intense, active realignment of your nervous system that overrides your historical programming. First, you must isolate the exact version of you who already lives the reality you have been calling in, focusing completely on their internal state, how they breathe when they wake up, and what heavy burdens they have completely stopped carrying. Second, you must assume the posture of that target identity, physically standing up, shaking the stale, repetitive energy out of your limbs, and adjusting your spine to deliberately inhabit the exact physical presence of your highest self. Third, you must command the field by speaking your new baseline out loud to create an immediate command line in your energetic code, declaring to your cells and the subconscious mind that you are now operating entirely as this highest version. Fourth, you must insulate against the search for proof. The moment you step into the new frequency, you must absolutely refuse to look around your room for physical evidence to confirm if it worked, as checking for proof explicitly confirms you are still operating from doubt. Fifth, you must maintain persistent realignment, returning to this choice across 1,000 small moments in your day whenever the old anxieties attempt to slide back in.
As you sit in this exact space right now, a quiet, undeniable transformation is taking place within the deeper layers of your chest. Your breathing has naturally softened, the frantic mental static of your day has begun to recede, and a calm, heavy sense of inner knowing is anchoring itself into your awareness. This is not a fleeting emotional mood or a temporary psychological placebo. This is the literal realigning of your electromagnetic field. You have stopped consuming information as a desperate seeker and have stepped into your natural cosmic authority as a selector of timelines. The universe does not reward your exhaustion, your struggle, or your relentless physical force. It flawlessly reflects your energy. When you firmly anchor your consciousness in the absolute reality of your highest self, you completely cease begging for a better future and instead become an unshakable beacon that commands it into form. You no longer walk through the world looking for doors to force open. Your coherent frequency transforms you into a gravitational center around which new opportunities, synchronicities, and realities are forced to orbit. The old repetitive loops of the third dimension have lost their hold on your nervous system. You are no longer waiting for your life to change. You have actively stepped through the portal of your own identity, locking in the frequency of the version of you that the field has been waiting to manifest.
In this deep dive into the subatomic architecture of reality, we have learned that genuine change is never achieved by working harder within an old framework, but by entirely collapsing the historical identity that anchored us to our limitations. We have realized that the universe is a mechanical mirror, responding purely to baseline biological frequency, and that linear time is an illusion we can bypass through immediate internal embodiment. If you are truly ready to cease repeating outdated emotional patterns, cast aside your conditioning, and establish an unshakable alignment with your highest potential, type the word SHIFT in the comments below to officially register your new baseline with the quantum field. By actively implementing this lesson, by refusing to search for immediate physical proof, regulating your nervous system to match your future self, and acting consistently from a state of total fulfillment, you will notice a radical change in your life. The anxieties that once dominated your mornings will dissolve. Long-standing creative or professional blockages will vanish, and the external matrix will rapidly reorganize itself to bring you opportunities, resources, and connections that perfectly match your elevated resonance.